Hey guys, chapter 10,010 of One Piece left us with a lot of answers and a lot more questions. So I decided this week to kind of just spend, I don't know how long, this is going to be a rather long video, and just discuss everything that's been on my mind about the last few chapters, the last chapter, what we know about Conqueror's Haki, and, some end of series stuff. So without much further ado, let's get into it. All right. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Pretty much what this is going to be is just going to be honestly like a little chill sesh between me and you guys, the viewers. I don't have any particular topic that I'm going to discuss today. I'm going to honestly, this is going to be kind of a ramble video. Now when I say ramble video, we are going to be talking about very important stuff, very tangible stuff, but I'm going to keep it like a free flowing format. Yeah. So I actually am really sad. I typed out about 4 or 5 pages of material. I don't really do scripts. I don't like sticking to scripts. I don't like memorizing scripts. I kind of like typing down ideas and then letting myself, play with them and ramble off of them and just, going off on tangents as long as, they have something to do with the topic. And for whatever reason, Windows 10 decided, hey, we're going to restart ourselves without your permission. So long story short, it didn't save any of the 5 pages I typed. A lot of work lost. I have the general gist and idea of what I wanted to talk about, but regardless, that's really annoying and really sucks. So I do have 1 page that I was able to keep, but that's the extent of it. So we'll go off of this, and then I'll try to pick up and memorize the other stuff I wanted to talk about, because there was a lot I wanted to talk about. That's why I even typed it out. Like I said, I really don't. Before my videos, how my process works is I usually read the chapter One Piece the night it comes out, read it, reread it, review it, analyze it. Occasionally, I might check the comment section or Reddit and see what other people are saying about it, and then I'll jot down some key points. That's the extent of it. But I wanted to delve a little bit deeper into the things I wanted to talk about. But no fear. Who needs notes? I got this. Also, before we start, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to my really good friend Megan. She's the homie. I recently moved, and she's been really supportive of my both my move and my show, my Otaku Talk. So she sent me this awesome present. I have the Prime lens going, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it all, but this awesome blanket with so many of the characters from One Piece. I really hope a lot of this is getting on view of the camera. Otherwise, I apologize. But yeah, we'll see when I edit this how well this came out. But yeah, thank you so much, Megan. It means the world to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. I will love and cherish this. So without much further ado, let us get into, let's call it chapter 10,010 plus review, analysis, ramble, and some theory. I have some theories I want to throw out there, and some theories I discussed in way earlier when I started this show that some of the newer viewers may not know about. So we have a lot to go into. So, first of all, what do I have on my list? All right, looks like I want to talk about Ashura. So, we have confirmation that Ashura is Conqueror's Haki, which is really funny because I have a group of friends. It's me and 2 other dudes, Mikey and Daryl, and I love them to death. Long story short, met them on some anime Facebook group, and we would just be getting in arguments over all the time about which character could beat this character and what series is better than that series. And the thing that stood out about those two was everyone else kind of just says BS, BS, BS. But whenever they say something, it's compounded with fact, feats, and stuff. Like all three of us, that meant a lot to all three of us. All three of us would always, anytime we said something, we would share scans, we would share feats, we would explain why. We wouldn't just haphazardly say, oh, Naruto can beat anyone. No, we would say why and say his weaknesses. And so we became really good friends. And I've been friends with these guys for over a decade, and I haven't met them a day in my life. We've talked, we've video called and all that, but they're very important to me. And so my one friend Mikey, sometimes me and him do not see eye to eye, and we argue about stuff. And something we argued about was Zoro, like, it's not being confirmed he has Kagura's haki, and I think he's just being hard-headed and messing with me because we got into a debate about something else. But in my opinion, tell me if I'm crazy, Zoro, like, this was definitely a chapter where it was confirmed Zoro has Kagura's haki. I think he's bugging otherwise. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Zoro, Ashura conquers haki, what that means for Zoro, conquers haki, what that means for Luffy, conquers haki, what that means for the rest of the crew. We'll have some conversations on the Zoro versus Sanji front. We'll have conversations on Kid and Killer versus Big Mom, and the fate of Zoro and Law, and just, we'll see where it goes. I might record this more than one day. I was originally going to do this in one sitting, but because of procrastination and the fact that I lost my script, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, first thing I want to talk about is Ashura apparently has always been Conqueror's haki, which is really interesting because I personally have always wondered how exactly it works, right? And now that we're learning more about Conqueror's haki, it seems to be a manifestation of haki, right? And so my question at this point is, when he uses Ashura, can the people he's using Ashura against see it? Like, for example, can they see the little like Buddha in the background? Can they see Zoro's 3 heads? Can they see Zoro's 9 swords? Is that something that's tangible to them? Because that will help me a lot with like my further theories in what exactly Conqueror's haki does and the limitations of Conqueror's haki. Also, it brings a lot of life to what we were saying earlier about what I was saying earlier about how Kaido keeps saying he's glaring at me, he's looking at me, and I'm just like, Luffy's eyes are white and he's looking at the sky. What do you mean he's glaring at you? So maybe Conqueror's haki can be the actual manifestation of your spirit, your soul. And maybe it's like, I've never read JoJo's a day in my life, but maybe I heard how stands work. And maybe it's something like a stand where like there's just an embodiment of Luffy's willpower and spirit and heart that like stands over him, and that's what he's fighting with. And like and that's why you might not have to be physically strong to be a superior force in this world, because we've seen people with all manner of body types. We've seen giants like Kaido and then just regular sized people like Shanks that are able to clash with them. So this is something that I've been really interested in and really intrigued in. This also, the concept of Conqueror's haki may actually have something to do with how moves like Red Hawk works. Ever since Red Hawk was introduced and then later Red Rock in this arc, I was super confused. I'm like, okay, how did that happen? And a lot of people went the scientific route. That's the route I went as well, where, okay, maybe he vulcanizes himself. He's moving at so speed that the friction creates flames, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it still didn't quite make sense, especially when he makes impact. Fire often explodes out the back of his opponent, which is also really interesting. I just thought about this now. It wasn't even written down. It kind of reminds me and parallels to Law's injection shot. So part of me wants to know, maybe Conqueror's haki allows you to have some form of elemental control to some degree. Maybe it's not Conqueror's haki at all. Maybe it's just regular haki. We still don't know to this day. quite how Kinemon's Firefox style works. Also, there's been other people throughout the entirety of the series that have used what seem to be elemental based attacks, but it's not derivative of their devil fruit or their race, such as the minx. Like, it's just something they can do, and that's something that has been really, really like interesting to me. And then we have people like Sanji, where we have never gotten a single hint or clue that Sanji could have Conqueror's Haki. But the Diable Jambe, you have to admit, is something really interesting, and that stands outside of what we know Haki to be, and what it stands outside of what we know Haki can do, right? Because we got the joke answer from Oda, like, it's his passion burning and blah blah blah, but like, it's always been weird, and it's always run me wrong. We could always take, it at face value. He spins, creates friction, lights his foot on fire, but it seems way more than that. And so hopefully we'll get to that as well. At its core, from everything we've seen, Conqueror's Haki seems to allow its user to impose their will on the environment. Now, what exactly does that mean? I don't really know. Your guess is as good as mine. But we do know it allows them to somehow interact with their environment intangibly. I've always been really interested in it ever since Shanks stepped on Whitebeard's ship, and that feat alone caused people to not only pass out, but splinters and cracks to develop on the Moby Dick, on Whitebeard's ship. So that's something that I've always just something that I've kind of taken note of. Something interesting I noticed during this chapter in particular, 10:10, was that Luffy was repeatedly using Conqueror's Haki in every single attack he used. We haven't really seen anything like that. I heard in the anime we have a really good fight with Roger versus Whitebeard, and maybe they do that in there. Possibly the people that Kaido named earlier as the only people he's ever feared or respected are able to continuously use Haki in this manner. But we haven't seen anyone quite yet use Conqueror's Haki to the degree that Luffy is currently using it, where he is imbuing it in every attack. We just saw Big Mom and Kaido use it, and the way in which they used it seemed to be to launch a really big attack. Very powerful, much more powerful than these individual attacks Luffy is launching, but it's kind of one and done. They haven't been repeatedly using it, and it looks like they kind of wind up and use it. Now, that's just speculation. We could go into the next chapter, and then next thing I see, they're doing the same thing. Maybe they just didn't feel like the need to use it. But I just thought that was something interesting, and I was thinking that maybe a theory is potentially that continuously attacking and fighting with Conqueror's Haki is maybe exhausting, draining, not feasible, and maybe only a handful of people can fight in this manner, and that's what will give Luffy the up and up. Or potentially, that's not the case at all, and Kaido and Big Mom only launch these giant Conqueror's Haki attacks just to test Luffy, just to, I'm going to hit him with this strong attack and see if, this gets them out the way. And obviously it hasn't. So yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. I already talked about the low level of elemental control and how it's hard to know for sure with Kaido and Big Mom, because a lot of their abilities can all stem from their devil fruit. And so, dragons were known to control the elements. So, all the elemental stuff Kaido does could be derived straight from his mythical Zoan. Big Mom can put her soul in things, so she puts her soul in stuff like clouds and whatnot, and therefore she has elements. She puts her soul in fire, therefore she has fire elements. So it's really interesting. But at the end of the day, Luffy, fire isn't really something conducive to his devil fruit. The lightning that I saw coming off of him honestly could just be, like I said, like a full cowling thing that Deku does, where it's just the visualization of the utilization of his Conqueror's Haki, but we do not really know. Something I wanted to say real quick, I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, is I think Luffy's going to get his ass kicked either the next chapter or the following chapter. When I say that, I mean, if the next chapter returns us to the where we left off in the fight with Luffy laying into Kaido, it's going to be that one. If next chapter we go off to all the other fights, then obviously we're going to have to wait. But basically what I'm saying is Kaido has not sweated, lifted a finger for real this entire fight. Yes, he's done, some Thunder Bagwas. Yes, he just did Ragnarok, but in terms of like continuous fighting, he hasn't. He's just been launching attacks. In my opinion, he's just testing thresholds. He's saying, hey, can you handle this? Hey, can you handle this? And like, he knocks out Luffy, gets disappointed, but then he's like, wait a minute, he's still up. And now I think he's actually threatened, though. He hasn't been threatened this whole time. Like, he's been allowing Luffy to hit him. Luffy's been getting hits on him. He's just been getting up, like, oh, that hurt a little bit. Oh, I felt that one. But these hits, I don't think these are hits he can continue to keep taking. And I think now that he has some fear in him and he has some respect for Luffy, he's going to start asserting himself and showing dominance. Because he's not going to let some little scrub, some little runt, some little rookie come up in his territory and make him look like a bum. He's Kaido, the Beast King. Like, I don't, he's not going to go out like a punk. So my hypothesis is literally next time we see them, Kaido is going to hit him with a laugh, like, ha, 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 ha. I haven't had a fight this great since insert whatever legend you want to insert. Let's have fun. And then we see him go ham. Because once again, ever since he's entered his hybrid form, we haven't seen anything impressive. We haven't seen a single impressive thing. And so my theory is that, how just like Luffy has, offensive forms, power forms, defensive forms, speed forms, I think that that's kind of what we have here with Kaido. I think that, maybe his durability is a little bit reduced here, but I do think that maybe his strength and his speed are increased tenfold, and we're just going to see him with his Konobo. We don't really know, but like I said, I just really see Luffy taking a ass whooping coming up. I would be disappointed otherwise. But that's fine because all that's going to do is further help Luffy condition himself, learn more from how Kaido is fighting, and then implement it in how he is fighting. Now, this leads up to a really, really big question, right? Are we going to get Gear 5? To answer that, I don't know. I really, truly do not know. What I believe, and I said this earlier, I was hoping that we were going to get more stages of Gear 4. I said I hope that there's a Tiger Man and I hope that there's a Lion Man. So I'm hoping that Gear 4 is either going to be Tiger Man, Lion Man, and then he basically creates it on the fly, incorporates Conqueror's Haki, and utilizes it, right? And so then we have a new form that's going to look awesome, and that's going to be using Conqueror's Haki. A friend of mine asked me the other day, what's weird I noticed? Why hasn't Luffy used Snake Man? And I thought that was interesting too. My only theory, could 1,000% be wrong. My only theory is that Snake Man isn't really a power-oriented form. Kaido is super durable. His armament and apparently Conqueror's and his just natural durability were so extreme that Luffy could think of using nothing other than bound form, right? Where he's like his hardest hitting form in Gear 4. However, now that he is able to infuse Conqueror's Haki as well as, Armament Haki Ryu into his attacks, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we saw a quick sneak peek of Snake Man. Speaking of, I would really like to re-see Tank Man. A lot of people think that was a one-off thing. They think that was like a specialty thing, like Mizu Luffy and all the other specialty things Luffy does. I don't think that's the case. The only reason I don't think that's the case is because when he first used it, he said Tank Man Stuffed Edition. That means he already had a Tank Man in the works but because he had eaten so many crackers or biscuits, now this was the stuffed version of a form he had already come up with. Now, obviously, it's not a very useful form. If all it does is tank stuff, what's the point? It's purely defensive. It's nothing better than, Chopper's guard point. But speaking of Chopper, the way he uses his points at a certain point is where he flawlessly and seamlessly is able to switch from point to point, from form to form. So I wouldn't, put it past Luffy to be able to switch to his gears really quickly. Just like you're driving, switch his gears really quickly and be able to use Tank Man to tank a really hard attack that he might not be able to tank in his regular form. So yeah, I do think that we might get a Tiger Man or a Lion Man, and he uses that. I hope it's called. I hope it's called. If it's not called Lion Man or Tiger Man or something along those lines, I hope it's called Drive. You know how you have your car and then you have your gears. Even in automatic cars, you have when you get to gear 4, you have multiple gears and then you have gear Drive. So I'm hoping we see him, thinks it's serious, and then Luffy unleashes Gear 4th Drive, and he goes and he pops off. Speaking of Gear 4, what that means is, so if this is going to be Gear 4, will he have a Gear 5? I believe so. I believe his Gear 5 will be called Monkey King. And I think this form will be a culmination of all the Haki he's learned, as well as his Devil Fruit awakening, right? I'm really hoping that Gear 5 is called Monkey King as both a reference to his pursuit of the Pirate King throne and as a possessor of Conqueror's Haki or King's Haki, as well as a callback to his origins as a Dragon Ball Z inspired or a Sun Wukong inspired character. I truly think we will get scenes that parallel the mythos throughout the entirety of the series. Like I've said before, Sun Wukong has an extending, staff, power pole, right? Luffy can stretch. Sun Wukong had a flying cloud he could travel on. We're gonna definitely get Zeus by the end of this arc. Sun Wukong was an enemy of the gods. I believe he was an Ashura. And eventually conquered the gods. Luffy is an enemy to the world government, who are run by the Celestials, who consider themselves to be gods. So I think there's a lot at work here. And here is where we get into the fun part of this video. This is my Sun Wukong Will of D theory. So, by the way, if you see me look down a lot, it's because I wrote this down and I don't want to miss anything I jotted down. So I apologize for that. I know that cinematically, it's better for me to, share my pretty face with the camera, look at you guys, make eye contact, make you guys feel loved and connected. But I have a bad memory, so we're going to use this. All right. So, you know how my boy Sunny Wu tricked the pretty much god of death and not only finessed not having to go through reincarnation, basically giving him a level of immortality, but he erased the names of all his homies from the book of life and death? What if the Void Century was the first or the ultimate war of a group or a clan of people that held freedom, the belief of freedom, to be above that of all else? And somehow Joy Boy, the original Monkey King or Sun Wukong, found a way for him and his friends to reincarnate via Haki or their wills or the inheritance of their will. Because I've said this a million times, One Piece is a huge story about how will can be inherited. And the reason that everyone who has the D in their name seems to die smiling is because there's some kind of indoctrinated creed that's inscribed into their souls or their will, saying they will always die either living freely, die knowing their deaths led to impending freedom, kind of like All for One in a sense, or finally die knowing that your death is bringing about a new dawn, literally and metaphorically, depending on if when they die, their wills get reincarnated, and the next time they come back, it'll be the dawn of a new era or freedom. And those with the will of D are either descendants of Joy Boy or Wukong's fellow apes, or their allies that heard the legend of these people, subscribe to their ideology, and pass on that inherited will to their offsprings. So there, in my opinion, there are two things that D can stand for. I believe D can stand for the obvious that most people think of as dawn, right? I think that, dawn of a new era, romance dawn, bring about the new dawn. So D, dawn. The other thing I think it can stand for is demon, right? The reason I say that is for several reasons. The first reason I think it's demon is because, once again, the will of the D clan is the natural enemy of the gods. So when you think about gods, the opposite of a god, or you would think of, in my opinion, is a devil, a demon, right? Also, as I'm talking right now, I'm thinking of that giant demon skull on Onigashima. Once again, an Oni is a form of demon, right? So, many multiple parallels here and there. So yeah, it could mean demon, which leads me back to how, you have Zoro, for example, whose whole spiel is demons. He has Onigari, he has Ashura, and then another callback, we see Big Mom literally in either chapter 1010 or was it 1009, where she uses an attack called Indra. So we have all these Ashura and demon named attacks and demon references and whatnot coming to fruition. So I really, really would not be surprised if there was, some kind of something going on with this theory, right? My belief is by the end of this series, we're going to see numerous things, right? I think we're going to see the destruction of the Red Line, perhaps the Grand Line. We're going to see the merfolk come to land. We're going to see the people of Zou leave Zunisha. We may even see, the people from the Sky Islands come down, and basically, I think everything's going to culminate in a merging of all the clans and all the people from all around the world. Everyone Luffy has met, just coming together, and with the breaking of the Red Line and all that, and the Grand Line, we're gonna get the all blue. And, we're going to have a big feast, a big party, one that Sanji is going to have to cater for. And Brook is going to play music and perform and entertain all of them. So I do think that all of this is going to culminate into just a grandiose end. I wouldn't even be surprised if Enel showed up. I'm assuming before the feast, but it could be during the feast. The reason I say before the feast is because I think eventually Enel will come back, will return, and basically we may find out that pretty much all the races in the One Piece universe are from different planets. Potentially everyone could be alien or foreign, and for whatever reason everyone's settled in this. We've seen clues throughout the entire series of the flags and all the orbs we see, and we thought they were kingdoms, but perhaps it could have been various planets. So that's another conspiracy within a conspiracy, that possibly all the races from the giants to the Burka to the merfolk and the long leg tribes and all that stuff could all be from different planets, and that's another reason why the Boy Century was hidden. So there's a lot to it. Like I said, I think I said it earlier in this video. That could be the reason why the Celestial Dragons, the nobles, wear those astronaut helmets, right? They, like I said, it could be to simply, we're too stuck up and we're in our own hubris that we can't share the same air as you, or it's technology left over from when they initially came down to Earth, which is really something really interesting because, and we saw the Enel panels, he didn't have any space gear at all. So I don't know if One Piece space is different. Maybe because Enel is a Logia, he just stayed in his Logia form and didn't need to breathe. So there's a lot of speculation here. To wrap up that segment, I believe that
having a huge feast is Luffy's end goal. Obviously, what do you mean it's Luffy's end goal? He wants to be king of the pirates. So there's a moment that happens several times throughout the entirety of the series where basically Luffy tells his dream. And every time he tells it, for whatever reason, it gets cut out. We fade away, something happens, there's a noise, and the characters within the story heard it, but we, the reader, do not know what was said. All we know is that it is the verbatim exact thing that Gol D. Roger once said. We see this moment with Riley, we see this moment with Ace and Yamato, and we see this moment with Ace and Sabo. And there may be another time that I can't remember off the top of my head. But essentially, I think Luffy says something to the degree of, I want to have a feast with everyone I've ever met, or with every race, or, blah, 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 blah. As we've seen, kind of the whole theme of family has been big in One Piece. Some people treat their family better than others, but we see amongst the Yonko, like we had Whitebeard, who treated everyone as family, but he was the dad. So he was still above them. And I don't think Luffy quite wants that. I don't think he wants to really be above anyone. I think he wants a crew of equals. Now, unfortunately for a pirate ship crew, you can't all be equals. There has to be someone to make the decisions. And Luffy has, over the years, accepted that role and understood, while I do want a happy-go-lucky crew, we do have to buckle down and you do have to take my orders when I give them. So I think that's a good thing. That's a given. But we have Whitebeard who had that kind of family. We have Big Mom whose family is actually her family. And but that goes to show she doesn't really treat them well. They don't really treat each other well. We have exceptions like Katakuri, but then you have the Parasparrows of that group. We have the Kaido pirates where only the higher-ups are well-loved and respected by Kaido. Meanwhile, everyone else is simply fodder. And then Shanks seems to be more in line with what we want. A happy-go-lucky crew that everyone looks out for themselves. We haven't really seen any disarray or disorganization from his pirate group. So I think that, Luffy's going to model that, which in turn models Gol D. Roger. So I do believe that every time Luffy says his dream and it's cut out, I believe it's along the lines of, I want to have a grand feast with everyone. To touch back on something I moved past earlier, it may not be anything at all, but something I noticed is, notice how most of the poneglyphs are blue, correct? And then you have 4 red poneglyphs. The only thing I know that are red is the red line. And like I said earlier, it's made out of really hard material. What's his name has been bashing his head against it. I wouldn't be surprised if it has some kind of correlation to the red poneglyphs, if it has some kind of correlation to the end goal of One Piece. I think I said that earlier in this video. This is a recording on a different day, but I just wanted to rehash that point. I had a lot more I wanted to discuss in this video, but I kind of got sad after a lot of my notes got deleted. So I think I'm going to wrap it up with this point and this point only. I am extremely disappointed in Kid. Since his introduction, it's been seen that he is kind of, a rival to Luffy. If there were 2 people I would say kind of parallel with Luffy, I would say that it was Blackbeard and Kid. Blackbeard is like the antithesis, however, the antichrist to Luffy's Christ, right? Basically, he wants all the same things as Luffy to a degree. Well, all right, that's incorrect. He doesn't want the same things as Luffy. He wants freedom. Him and Luffy want freedom to the same degree. They both have their own personally relative morals about how one is allowed to obtain freedom. And it was kind of cool how Blackbeard was Luffy's initial and first cheerleader way back in the Jaya arc, where no one believed him about the Sky Island, especially Skypiea, and he was mocked. And Blackbeard basically told him, hey man, fuck these kids. Do you believe in yourself? There's a Sky Island, people are there to doubt and hate you, but whatever. They're not here to see everything. They don't know everything. They're doubting you because they don't have the balls basically to go out and find out for themselves. So they don't have any right to talk to you. And I thought that was really cool. And that was back before we knew how big a scumbag Blackbeard actually was. So we have that part. And then we have Kid that's less the antithesis of Luffy, but more like a rival. He's his own person, but he has personality traits and quirks that do kind of reflect on Luffy. I think I've said this in other videos, but it does kind of seem like Kid is the unloved version of Luffy. And when I say unloved version of Luffy, basically he's not the main character. He's not loved by fate like Luffy is. He's not even a D. I mean, you could say like he has 2 D's in his name, but it's, Eustace Kid, not Eustace D Kid. If it was Kid, Eustace, maybe you could be like, oh, the second D is actually D. Like, we used to think Gold Roger was Gold Roger, not Gold D Roger. So it could have been something completely like that. But basically, Kid has had it rough his entire journey. Lost his arm to Shanks. Killer was forced to eat a smile, and not only did he not gain any powers from it, but he stuck with the Joker curse of having to smile and laugh all the time, which I really, really, really hope that by the end of this arc, Chopper is going to have a cure for. I just don't see the Straw Hat Pirates leaving Wano like that, where a bunch of the people are afflicted by the smile fruits. I definitely think Chopper is going to have some kind of cure for that. Possibly, maybe his Rumble Ball will go into that. We don't know. But it's been really sad. And the saddest thing to like the cherry on top of the shit sad cake is that this dude has Conqueror's Haki. And as we know from everything that tells us in the series, those with Conqueror's Haki are destined for great things. And that they're destined, and that, like, I don't want to say they have to be strong. Like, if you're God before your prime, that's easy to have. Like, it's easy to take you out, like we saw with Ace. But for him to be this far, to be at the same level, to have gone through a lot of the same things Luffy has, and have nothing to show for it, like the fact that not only Luffy, Zoro, and Law, fellow supernovas, were able to use attacks that actually influenced and affected the Yonko, but for his second in command, his right-hand man, to do an attack that affected the Yonko, and him being unable to do anything. Don't get me wrong. I said he's using his their own body weight against them. I said that the German suplex he did definitely probably hurt Kaido. It just wasn't to the degree that any of these other attacks were hurting Kaido. And now he's going to go off and fight Big Mom. I don't see what he could possibly do. The only thing he's getting in Big Mom that he's not getting in from Kaido is it's 1v2 now instead of 2v5. So, he doesn't have to avoid as many attacks coming from different angles and 2 Yonko. So that's a good thing for him. This is his second Yonko interaction. Luffy hadn't really fought a Yonko before, except for the time with Big Mom way back. And that was less of a fight and more of like stalling for time and running away. And so in terms of experience fighting Yonko, Kid has more. And I forgot to finish my sentence. The only advantage she has over Big Mom in this case is she's slightly less durable than Kaido. But that seems to be it pretty much. And we haven't really seen the extent of Big Mom's power. We've seen, her Leader of Nations transformation, Spirit of Leader of Nations transformation. We've seen her Elbaf derived attack sets, her Conqueror's Haki, but we haven't seen her go all out. Similar to what I said with Kaido and Luffy, and how I think Luffy's gonna get his ass whooped in the following chapters. Not the whole time, but Kaido's gonna be like, this is fun. I haven't gotten to go all out in a while. And we see that. I think we might possibly see something from Big Mom like that only if Kid is able to pull something out. So hear me out. Kid's power is magnetism, right? A lot of people are like, well, we don't know the Fruit. The only time Oda doesn't tell us the devil fruit is when he's trying to like reveal something crazy. Because as far as we know, a majority of the devil fruits have been recorded, right? And so we know it's not like the metal fruit, because it's not like he manipulates the metal, fuses the metal, anything happens to the metal. He just holds it together. He just makes giant metal constructs. So it's clearly magnetism. It's clearly magnetism. I will argue with anyone what else it could be. In my opinion, it has to be magnetism. I think you're being a little hard-headed, or you're being a little indignant if you think it's anything other than magnetism. Once again, we don't know. It could be some weird, I don't know, other form of force fruit, but I am 1,001% sure it's magnetism. The other dude had the assimilation fruit in the one movie, whether you want to consider it canon or not. I don't think that's what we're getting here with Kid. So that brings me back to my point. Why am I so disappointed in Kid? One, because once again, he has conquered hockey. Two, his fruit is broken. It is overpowered and it is underutilized. This man has magnetism and he is throwing around metal. That is what he's doing with it. It's like having a gun and all you do is whack people with it and occasionally throw it at people instead of firing the gun. He has magnetism. This dude has the potential to be one of the strongest characters in the entire series. We have people like Fujitora with gravity, which is kind of like a force similar to, magnetic force. Super powerful. We have people like Whitebeard with the ability to make quakes. And even then, we see like how powerful that is. And my thing is we have fruits like Robin's fruit. We have fruits like Doflamingo's fruits that are very simple, like Luffy's fruit that are very simple. Very simple fruits. Shouldn't be able to do much, but the users of said fruits are able to draw out the individualistic and unique abilities of each of these fruits. Half the things Luffy does with his devil fruit are wild, and you're like, wow, I would never have imagined. Like growing up reading One Piece, I always wondered, especially seeing villain after villain and power after power, broken power after broken power, how Luffy was going to compete. And thankfully, Haki was introduced, but still within his own devil fruit, he had to improve that. And all the things from his gears and Red Hawks and stuff like that have been super impressive. We have Doflamingo, who was able to use his fruit in really interesting ways, like how he was able to, things that you honestly wouldn't think of initially, like how he was able to use his string to fly, how he was able to use his string to create clones. He had the parasite string to control people. Like, he went above and beyond with his power. We have Robin, whose power, honestly, is one of the ones that doesn't make the most sense. It's the flower fruit. Has nothing to do with flowers. It's about body parts blooming, which is cool. You accept that, okay, she can bloom body parts anywhere, right? But then what part of that says she can gigantify the body parts? What part of that says she can make clones? So that part in and of itself is interesting. And I could sit here all day and name other people that have taken their devil fruit powers and stretched them to the maximum. Because you're like, I thought it did this, but look at all the things this person's able to do and utilize with this fruit. And in my opinion, Kid should be on some Magneto level shit. He should be some master of magnetism shit. Magnetism is in most comics, is one of the strongest pure forces in existence. And like I said, Kid right now is using it to do some really whack stuff. I thought about it and I was like, hey, maybe because he has magnetism, he doesn't have all the things that come with magnetism. Like, for example, electromagnetism. And electromagnetism is what really makes magnetism pop off. What really makes it cool. Then I did some research. I'm going to pull it up during the editing phase and show you what I looked at. And as you can see, like, electromagnetism is an inherent ability of magnetism. It's a subset, but by having basic magnetism, you and Lou get electromagnetism, because from my understanding of what I researched in like 5 seconds, anytime you have exchanging, moving, alternating magnetic forces or fields, it creates electricity. So basically, I'm like, dude, you should be able to use electricity, electromagnetism, really strong forces. You should be doing a lot more than making shitty mechas and metal arms and stuff. Like, that's so boring. Like, mechas are cool. That part's not boring, but like only utilizing your ability in such a niche way is lame. And you're starting to see the ramifications of having a limited imagination and control of your devil fruit. I'm sorry to say it, that's just how it is. Now, there's a part of me that's like, maybe the electromagnetism part of his power is going to be something that comes through awakening. I definitely think that this will be the moment he awakens Conqueror Haki too, as we've seen so many parallels with him and Luffy from when they were in the jail, how they competed against each other, how strong he was, even handcuffed, how kind of like how smart he is as well, because he was actually, unlike Luffy, able to escape the prison. So I have a lot of faith in Kid. This wasn't to bash him. This isn't to be like to make him out to be a shit character. I don't think he is. That's the reason I'm upset. That's why I'm so disappointed and let down, because I know that he is better than what we are seeing. So that's pretty much where I want to leave that. I do think Kid can do a lot better. Hopefully he gets he utilizes Conqueror Haki. Hopefully he utilizes his powers better. Even if it's not electromagnetism, I would like to see a lot more come out of him. Getting a little convoluted. I have a lot of thoughts I want to talk on. I want to touch on. There's things about the color of Haki I want to get on. The significance of that, what that's going to lead into later, and there's more I want to get into with the Luffy versus Kaido fight, the Kid versus Big Mom fight, what's going to happen with Zoro and Law, where Sanji is going. But you know what? We have the next chapter coming out pretty much tomorrow night. And yeah, tonight. And then I'll review it tomorrow. So, let's just leave it here for now. Thank you for tuning in, watching, and viewing. I hope that, what I talked to you about today was interesting and that it gave you some new ideas. Like I said, there's a lot more I want to touch on, but it gets a little bit, not incoherent, but it just gets more into a ramble, more into a tangent. So I think it's best to leave this video here for now. Please leave me your thoughts and let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. And that's about it. Take care.